3 o'clock came and went, and I was still sitting at the table like a fool, trying to convince myself they'd walk through the door any second. Name's Russ. I'm 59. Live just outside Springfield, Missouri. This house, built it up over 30 years, raised my son here, lost my wife here. Tammy left me 3 years ago for some CrossFit trainer who wears tighter jeans than she ever did. Fine, let her go. But Cody, he was supposed to be different. He promised. Said he and Natalie were bringing the kids. Said it was important to keep traditions alive. That was his exact wording. So I spent 2 days cooking. Got up at 5 to brine the turkey, mashed the potatoes the way Natalie likes, even made that weird marshmallow salad the twins go nuts for. Didn't cut corners. Didn't buy frozen. I cooked like my mom taught me, with care. I polished the silver, set the table for 5 plates, 5 cloth napkins, little name cards like I used to do when Cody was a kid, candles lit, fireplace going, everything just right. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. The kitchen clock ticked louder with every minute past 3. At 3:20, I poured myself a bourbon, just one. Just enough to keep the edge off while I told myself maybe traffic was bad. Maybe one of the kids puked in the car. Maybe they were still coming. But I knew. At 3:47, my phone lit up. Cody. "Hey, Dad," he said, voice light, casual, too casual. In the background, I could hear clinking plates, music, laughter. Someone was carving a turkey. "Where are you?" I asked, already knowing. Plans changed," he said. "We're at Natalie's parents' place." It kinda just made more sense. "Let me talk to Natalie?" He hesitated, then said, "Okay, hang on." She got on, and the second I heard her voice, I knew she'd been drinking. She laughed, that high fake laugh she does when she's showing off. "Oh, hey, Russ. We're at a real grandpa's house. You know, where it feels like family." Then the line went dead. I stood there staring at the phone. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon rolls thick in the air. My hand clenched around the bourbon glass. I walked over to the table, blew out the candles one by one, and pulled the turkey off the warming rack. I dropped the turkey onto the stovetop and just stared at it. Skin crisp, juices perfect. It should have smelled like a holiday. Instead, it made my stomach turn. The candles were still burning on the table, tall and stupid, like stage props in a play nobody showed up for. I walked over and blew out the last one. The smoke curled into the air and just hung there, like the silence had weight to it. No plates had been touched. The rolls were still warm under the napkin. The cranberry sauce was homemade, not canned. I grated orange peel into it. Who the hell was I trying to impress? I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, and looked around at this house I used to be proud of. Everything in it had a story, but now it felt like I was trespassing in someone else's life. Right by the window, the mark Cody made when he was 8, scraped the paint with his handlebars learning to ride. I used to think I'd patch it, never did, just left it there as a memory. Next to the fireplace, the old card table, that's where we used to play Uno and Clue during storms when the power went out. Cody used to fake a cough when he was losing, say he needed to reset his brain. We'd laugh for hours. Now, it just collected dust. I walked into the kitchen and grabbed the gravy spoon to put it away. Caught my reflection in the metal, warped, sagging, tired, like some clown version of myself. This wasn't some mix-up. They were never coming. I picked up my phone and stared at it for a long time. My hand was shaking. Not from rage, not yet. Just from how stupid I felt. I tapped Cody's name again. The phone rang twice before Natalie picked up. "Well, look who's calling again," she said, already laughing. "I want to talk to my son." "Oh, he's busy digging into his 3rd piece of pie," she said, like she was reporting on the weather. "We had a spread like you wouldn't believe. Dessert table and all. You'd love it if you were invited." "Let me talk to Cody," I said, slower this time. "No can do. He's with real family now. You know, the kind that doesn't emotionally blackmail their kid into pity visits." Then she dropped her voice and said, "All sweet and fake, happy Thanksgiving, from the real family." Click. I stared at the silent screen in my hand. Everything else in the house was frozen. Even the heat kicking on didn't break the silence. I'd never felt anything like it, not even after the divorce. That had pain, sure, but this was something colder. I went back to the table and pulled all the food off, dish by dish, and dumped it into Tupperware. Every scoop made my chest tighter. I slid the rolls into a bag, tossed the marshmallow salad, poured the gravy down the drain. The sink hissed as the hot gravy hit the steel, sounded like a scream. I didn't cry. That part of me dried up a long time ago. I took the pie, wrapped it in foil, and shoved it to the back of the fridge, slammed the door harder than I meant to. The magnets rattled loose, and a photo of Cody as a kid fluttered to the floor. He had a missing tooth, one arm slung around my neck, other hand holding up a paper turkey he'd made in second grade. I remember him coming home proud as hell with it. I remember hanging it up on the front door. I bent down, picked up the photo, and tucked it into the junk drawer. Didn't feel right throwing it out. Not yet. I grabbed the trash bag full of scraps, walked out to the big bin by the driveway, and slammed the lid shut so hard the damn thing shook. I left the trash bin rattling in the cold and didn't bother going back to the table. Just turned off the lights and went straight to bed. Slept in my jeans, didn't care. Next morning, I woke up hard and clear. No fog, no wondering. Just this cold sense of purpose, like something clicked into place while I slept. The guy who waited around for calls, begged for scraps of family time. He was gone. I walked to the fridge, ignored the leftovers, poured myself a glass of water, and went straight to the hallway cabinet. Pulled out the photo album from last year. There it was. Christmas Eve. Cody in a flannel shirt. Natalie in her tacky gold sweater dress. Both grinning like we were still a family. The twins sat on my lap, holding up candy canes. Everyone smiled. Everything looked right. But it was all fake. I saw it now. I carried the photo into the dining room and set it dead center on the same table I'd spent 2 days setting for them. I opened the kitchen drawer and grabbed the red-handled scissors. The ones we used to open Christmas wrap, cut string, fix paper projects for school. I held the blades open and lined them up over Cody's face. Slow, clean, right down the side of his head, through his shoulder. Then Natalie. One long slice through her perfect white teeth and smug eyes. Only the kids remained. I flipped the photo over and grabbed the red Sharpie from the drawer. The ink bled thick and loud across the back. A table set for 5. Only ghosts showed up. This is how you erased yourself from my life. No drama, no begging, just facts. I slid the photo into a plain white envelope, sealed it, and wrote their names on the front with the same red marker. Didn't bother changing clothes. Just grabbed my jacket and keys, walked out the door, and drove to the post office, parked right up front. The lady behind the counter smiled too wide and said, "Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving." I slid the envelope across the counter. "Certified mail. Signature required." "Absolutely," she said, reaching for the label. "Anything fragile, liquid, perishable, or—" "Nope," I cut in. "Just truth." She gave me that tight smile people use when they're not sure if you're joking. I paid in cash, pocketed the receipt with the tracking number, and walked out. Cold wind hit me straight in the face, but I didn't flinch. Just stood on the sidewalk for a second. Envelope gone, message delivered, and felt something shift in my chest. Not relief, not satisfaction, just quiet. On the drive back, I passed the elementary school, where Cody used to bring me hand turkeys and stick figure drawings with "Bussy One Dad" written in a sloppy crayon. I didn't look away, didn't ache. They picked their side. Now, I'm picking mine. I pulled into the driveway, shut off the engine, and sat for a second, watching the bare tree branches sway in the wind. Nothing to say, nothing left to hope for. I got out, walked up the steps, and left my boots by the door like I always did. Same routine, same house. Only this time, I wasn't waiting for anybody. By noon, I was parked downtown, 10 floors up in a glass box office that smelled like old carpet and printer ink. The attorney's name was Hartley. Sharp suit, not a single hair out of place, probably 10 years younger than me. He shook my hand and said, "Mr. Madsen, what can I help you with?" "I want my will changed," I said. "Today." He raised an eyebrow. "All right, let's walk through it." I handed him the old paperwork. My son Cody was the only heir. House, retirement fund, my old '67 truck, the works. "And what do you want to change?" he asked, flipping through. "All of it. He's out." Hartley blinked. "Out?" "0, I said. "Not a dime, not a spoon, not even the garage remote." He nodded slowly. "Understood. Do you want to redirect the assets to someone else?" "My grandkids," I said. "But not a blank check. I want a trust, set up with a rule. They've got to visit me once a year. every year until they turn 21. If they don't, it all goes to a veterans nonprofit. Pick one that actually does the work, not the PR. All right, he said, jotting notes. And the house? It goes to a program for single fathers, one of those housing nonprofits. You find one that works with displaced dads trying to get back on their feet. 4 bedrooms, fenced yard, good school district. Someone should use it. Hartley paused, pen in the air. That's unorthodox. Are you sure? Dead sure, I said. I raised a kid here. Now it'll raise somebody else. He nodded again, scribbling faster. What about your truck, tools, collections? Anything not in the kid's trust goes to charity, I said. Auction it off. I've got vintage fishing gear, coin sets, some signed sports crap from the 80s. Get whatever you can for it, and put the check straight into the program that gets the house. He looked impressed, like I'd just handed him the twist ending to a legal drama. And your son and daughter-in-law? I want them served, I said. Certified mail. Formal notice they've been removed. And don't bury it in legalese. Make it loud and clear. They're out. Do you want to include a personal letter? No, I said. They got their message. He leaned back, tapped the desk once, then said, I'll have a draft by the end of the week. Once you sign, it's final. You sure you want to go this far? I met his eyes. If you knew the whole story, you'd ask why it took me so long. He didn't press. As I waited at the elevator, I saw my reflection in the mirrored doors. Same face, but different posture. Shoulders back, jaw tight. Not waiting anymore. In the parking garage, I sat in the truck for a minute, watching people rush around with holiday shopping bags. They all looked so busy, chasing something. Not me, not anymore. I started the engine, turned off the radio, and drove home in silence. Let it all settle. One thing was for sure. I wasn't dying with my name on something Cody could flip for cash. If he wanted my legacy, he should have shown up when it still meant something. I pulled into the driveway and killed the engine, still thinking about the will, the trust, the certified letter that would hit their mailbox like a steel-toed boot. Felt solid, final. But when I got inside, I made the mistake of opening Instagram. I didn't follow Natalie, but her account was public. Had to be, for branding, and there it was. Bright, overexposed photos, all smiles and styled centerpieces. Her caption, hosting with love this year, using real family heirlooms, tradition matters. Ashka grateful, Jaira generations. I stopped scrolling. She had the dishes, my grandmother's china set, white with blue trim, tiny silver flowers around the edge. Not even worth much, but they were ours. My side, my history. I zoomed in. Right there in the middle of the shot was the gravy boat, my mother's. She used it every year until the day she couldn't hold a spoon anymore. Natalie had it propped on a linen runner like it was a prop in a damn magazine. That boat was supposed to come back to me. But Tammy pulled one of her slick moves during the divorce. Let me keep the lawn tools, but boxed up all the heirlooms and handed them off to Natalie for safekeeping. Yeah, right. I scrolled down to the comments. Your taste is incredible. Love how you honor family tradition. This is what Thanksgiving should look like. I could feel the heat rising up my neck. She was selling my family history for internet points, probably tagging brands for sponsor deals, turning 30 years of my life into curated content. I closed the app. That night, I opened the hallway closet and pulled out the old wooden box. No lock, just a little brass clasp. Inside were the things that actually mattered. Stuff no one would think to fight over because it wasn't shiny enough for Instagram. My dad's Navy medals, the watch box he carved by hand when I was a kid, my grandfather's hunting knife, still in its cracked leather sheath. I took them out one by one, laid them on the dining table, didn't cry, didn't smile either, just sat with it all. These were the pieces that built me. And if Natalie wanted to slap filters on my past and call it hers, fine. But she wasn't getting these. Next morning, I called the Greene County Historical Center, told them what I had, what I wanted to do. The woman on the phone said, "We'd be honored to preserve them, Mr. Madsen. One condition," I said, "there's a plaque with my full name, not my son's, mine." "Of course," she said. "That's how we do it." By noon, I'd packed everything into a padded box and labeled it myself. Drove it down there and handed it over. The receptionist smiled and said, "You're doing something real, sir. This'll outlive all of us." I just nodded. On the way out, I looked back once. just long enough to see her carry the box through the double doors marked Legacy Collection. If they wanted to erase me, fine, but I was making damn sure someone remembers. The next day, I opened the camera roll on my phone and stared at the picture I'd taken that afternoon before everything fell apart. The table was perfect. 5 plates, silverware gleaming, napkins folded just right, candles lit, turkey steaming. I was sitting at the head, arms on the table, looking dead into the camera. No smile, no shame, just truth. I opened Facebook, clicked Create Post, typed, cooked for 5, ate alone, real love doesn't forget. Uploaded the photo, hit post. That was it. No hashtags, no explanations. Let them fill in the blanks. Within 10 minutes, the first comment popped up. Wait, what? Where's Cody? Then another. You made all that and they didn't show? Then it started pouring in. People I hadn't heard from in years. Neighbors, folks from church, old co-workers from the plant. They all saw it, and they had something to say. This man used to shovel half the block just to help the kids get to school. He deserved better. I remember when he coached Little League, even when Cody wasn't playing. You brought cookies to every holiday party, every single one. That one came from Mrs. Foster, Cody's 3rd grade teacher. Someone else added, shame on them, shame on Natalie. She always struck me as entitled. I didn't reply, didn't like a single comment. I just watched it roll. By evening, the photo had been shared 20-something times. People were tagging each other. Is this Natalie's father-in-law? Isn't this the house on Willow Creek? Didn't she just post her table like 5 minutes later? Yes, she did. I checked. Bright lighting, matching outfits, her dumb caption about heirlooms and heart. The contrast was so sharp, it didn't even need words. At the gas station the next morning, a woman I barely recognized leaned out her window and said, "That post broke my heart. You deserved a full table." I just nodded and kept pumping. At church, the pastor paused his Thanksgiving message and said, "Sometimes we need reminding that being present is the real gift." He didn't say names. He didn't have to. At the post office, the same clerk who took my envelope said, "Saw your picture. Just wanted to say, you're not alone." By Friday, I started hearing the quiet fallout. Natalie's PTA role was being reevaluated. A brand she worked with for kitchen gadgets pulled their partnership. Someone leaked screenshots from her comment about the real grandpa. I didn't send them. I didn't need to. People talk. Word was her local sponsors wanted distance. Her Instagram got quieter. No more curated flat lays or grateful heart posts. Just silence. Cody didn't reach out. Not a call, not a text. I figured he was caught in the crosshairs, finally learning what it felt like to be on the outside of a narrative. I kept quiet. Didn't throw fuel on it. Didn't post again. I wasn't out for revenge. I was done being erased. By the end of the week, people had stopped whispering and started choosing sides. And this time, the silence didn't feel so cold. It felt earned. The next year, I didn't bother checking my phone. Didn't make a list. Didn't ask who was coming. I pulled a turkey breast out of the fridge and grilled it how I liked. Simple, peppered, a little char on the edges. Roasted up squash with garlic and olive oil. Made whiskey bread, pudding from scratch. No marshmallows, no store-bought pie, no little kid food. Just what I wanted. The store had been quiet the day before. I moved slow. No anxiety, no counting heads. I picked up one nice napkin, one good cut of meat, one small bottle of bourbon. I didn't have to consider anyone else's taste. Not anymore. On the day, I set the table for one. One plate, one fork, one clean glass. I put a single flower in a bottle. Nothing fancy, just something fresh. Turned on some jazz low in the background and let it fill the space where old noise used to live. I ate slow, no rush, no obligation. Just me and the food, warm and rich and exactly what I wanted it to be. I was 2 bites into dessert when the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Jake, the neighbor kid, stood there holding a plate of cookies wrapped in plastic wrap. His cheeks were red from the cold, and he smiled like it was the easiest thing in the world. "Mom said to bring these over," he said. I looked past him and saw his mom standing on the walk, waving. I waved back. "You two want to come in for cocoa?" I asked. Jake nodded, already stepping inside. We sat in the living room for over an hour, just talking. His mom told stories about teaching middle schoolers. Jake showed me the football card he'd been carrying in his coat pocket. We laughed about nothing. No pressure, no guilt, no pretending. After they left, I rinsed off the mugs and went back to the table. Finished my dessert in silence. The phone buzzed. Cody, can we come by next week? Kids miss you. I stared at the screen for a second, then typed back, they're always welcome. You know the rules. No begging, no second chances, just boundaries. I blew out the candle, washed my one plate, dried it, and put it back in the cabinet. Then I walked to the front window and watched the snow start to fall. Slow and steady. No noise, no weight, just peace. Should Russ have let Cody and the kids come back into his life after what they did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.